Hi there. Today we're going to be talking about finding perspective in our reading. Now, when we're talking about finding perspective, what we're discussing is, we can also say, a character's point of view or the way that he or she sees the world. Now, I know this is a very simplistic story of Little Red Riding Hood, but we're going to, hopefully this is a familiar story to you, the story of Little Red Riding Hood, who was taking her basket of goodies to go visit her grandmother, but meets a wolf on the way instead. Okay, I want you to think about that story, and hopefully you are familiar with it. If you are not, you can pause this video, go find that book at your local library, or find a read aloud on YouTube, and go ahead and check out that story, and then come back when you are finished. If you are familiar with the story, well, I want you to think quickly about the two of the main characters in that story, Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf. Now, I would think that both characters have very different perspectives on the events in that story. Let's think of it from Little Red Riding Hood's perspective, or her point of view. From Little Red Riding Hood's perspective, what do you think? How do you think that she would perceive the events in that story? Right, she would probably say that we have a very mean wolf wants to eat everyone. Okay, from her perspective, there is a maniacal wolf out on the loose wanting to eat all sorts of people, innocent people. Now let's think about it from the wolf's perspective. Well, how do you think the wolf would think about the same events in the story? Do you think he would have the same perspective as Little Red Riding Hood? Absolutely not. He would see things from his perspective, or his point of view. So let's think for a minute and get creative here. How do you think the wolf would view the events in the story Little Red Riding Hood? Right, he would probably think of himself as the good character, right? The good guy. So he would probably think, he might make an excuse that he is simply hungry. Right? He's simply hungry. A wolf has to eat, and a little girl just kind of showed up in his neighborhood, and why not? So both characters would have vastly different perspectives. When you go to read your story and or listen to the story that's being presented to you, you're going to be asked to think about how the different characters in that story are going to perceive the events in that story. What perspective are they going to take, and how is that going to be different? And you are going to write the examples that you can think of how they might perceive the events differently. Happy reading.